Hello, this is Michael from the Deep Culture Podcast. Once again, back with Wrestling Pops this week, the second week on the audio and the YouTube train, and I cannot wait to get into wrestling this week. Talk about everything that happened. A big week: Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Rampage, Revolution was last night as of recording. This is March 6th. And I am excited to start this episode. So let's go ahead and get to it. Now, this episode, I'm gonna flip it. I've been doing uh, just the story, the things we talk about this week. Going to do pops and flops first. What? Again, thanks for watching. This is Michael. And pops and flops. Again, pops, things I like from the week. Flops, things I did not overly care for. But again, doesn't mean it was bad, just things I didn't overly enjoy. So, this week, very first pop, got to talk about Revolution. Listen, I think that Revolution, and if you watch, if you listen, whatever it may be, if you listen to the last episode of Wrestling Pops, I said that I thought again Revolution would be good. AEW pay-per-views, it's still pay-per-views. AEW pay-per-views are always good wrestling wise. They're um they definitely play up the spectacle. This is a moment. This is a big event. This is going to be worth the money you pay for. And I said that. I said that in the video. However, my big critique was storytelling. Everything leading up to it, I said that, man, the stories for AEW seemingly have been lacking. They just haven't pulled me in. And let me tell you, Revolution again was just an example of how AEW can suck you back in, because even with that wrestling, you always hear older wrestlers talk about like storytelling in the ring, and sometimes I'm not a pro wrestler. I don't fully understand the psychology of everything. I just see what I feel, um, and I go with that. Like, hey, if that move made sense right there, and I think starting off right off the bat again, the Iron Man match between MJF and Bryan Danielson, man, that was storytelling in wrestling. Again, I'm not a pro wrestler. I don't understand every inner thing. But I understood a lot of the stuff going on in that match. And that's not to say like, oh, it was on a remedial level where everybody understood it. But I think in wrestling, like, man, I picked up on why that move was important. Uh, Everything they did just worked in that match. And the other thing I've been seeing about the Iron Man match, which was amazing from AEW Revolution, it was amazing. But the things I've been seeing is this the greatest Iron Man match ever? Is it? Now I'm gonna be honest. Iron Man matches, Iron Man, whatever it may be. I've never been a huge fan of them. I'm one of those people they talk about like, hey, this is only gonna work for a certain crowd. It's too long. It's gonna wear people out. That's me. I don't like the hour long matches, the wearing it out. I don't need that. Sorry. The only Iron Man match I could think of that I've ever overly enjoyed was the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels Iron Man match at WrestleMania many years ago. So that match to me is the standard of the Iron Man match. And you'll hear again wrestlers talk about like going 60-minute Broadways, and back in the old days. Again, I didn't see those. The only one that has ever stood out to me was the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels match. But that is until now. This Revolution match was very, very, very good. The only difference is, and I will say this, going back to talking about some of my concern going into Revolution, if this match would have had the build that kind of resonated with me specifically, as maybe like a Shawn or Bret did, I would maybe put this Iron Man match above that. It was that good. If you look at the in ring, it looked vicious. The Danielson, the MJF, they're both a mess. Some of the moves they're doing, you could tell it hurt. It didn't look Sometimes you can kind of tell, oh, okay, that didn't look, it looked good. Everything looked good. Everything made sense. Even the end, some people I noticed, oh, it's a draw. Then there were people clamoring like, oh, they're not going to end in a draw. And then sudden death. I do think it's funny. I do think it's funny that people talk about Schiavone bringing the news when Justin Roberts had an earpiece. He could have just gotten it, but add to the moment, I love seeing Schiavone. So it is so funny. But that MJF Danielson match, it delivered every single bit of it. And also, I do want to point out it was a pop for me, not just because the match was so great. It was absolutely phenomenal in every sense of the word. Um, it was great because it also kind of played up maybe future things, and I'm not one of those people to speculate on what is and what's not going to happen, but sometimes there's a lot of hints, there's a lot of subtle things that are being said and might point to the future. Maybe someone coming back, double or nothing, or maybe not anything at all. And either way, just alluding to maybe someone coming back made it special in itself. It kind of just still made it entertaining. So again, MJF Danielson, I kind of rambled there. I kind of ranted. I was very excited to talk about this. Just a heck of a match. I cannot understate or overstate, excuse me, how great of a match it is. And it's an all the time thing, seemingly for these two guys. So, pop number one right off the bat, that Iron Man match, absolutely phenomenal. Second pop for this week, going to talk about Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. Got a little WWE here. That promo, wow, it was amazing and nothing short of surprising for either of those guys. Roman Reigns, that Bloodline story has been great. And I've kind of wondered how that Bloodline, the Sami Zayn story would merge into the Cody Rhodes story heading towards WrestleMania. But I think it's done so very nicely. I think the Heyman Rhodes promo was a good stepping to that. And just seeing Reigns and Cody Rhodes is almost surreal still. Like the shine of it just doesn't quite make sense still. Like it just doesn't seem like it should be a thing. At this level, I'm sure those guys worked together before, but it just seems like a big deal, and that's a pretty cool thing heading into WrestleMania. Um, I also kind of wonder. I saw this online, and just again, not speculating, but just questioning: could we see Roman Reigns win? Makes a lot of sense for Cody Rhodes to win, and to claim that throne, but it also would make sense for Roman Reigns to still keep that and to keep going. So we'll see, but I'm really excited, as is I'm sure a lot of other people, for Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. It's going to be a heck of a deal, a heck of a spectacle. I'm very, very excited to watch that. Another pop for the week: Ray Phoenix and Penta. Their attire for the week, not just for 0 Hour, but for Dynamite. Like Penta, they usually have like the black and white. Penta's been wearing like the Joker. Right, he switches it up a little bit more, but man, that like pink and yellow and like the bluish cut, like that was a cool look. Just I'm a fan of switching up the gear. I think they did a really I like that gear. I hope they keep doing that. I'm huge fans of those guys. So another pop of the week, to the Lucha Bros, and their gear. I really like the colorful, and I think that's like with the Lucha, that's why it's even more special because like Rey Mysterio, again the different colors of the mask, the different attires each time, just makes them seem that much more special. So it's nice to see those guys, Penta and Ray, switching it up as well. Another pop. Coming from Revolution this time, back to Revolution. I was a huge fan uh, of the Jungle Boy Christian match. I thought that match, story wise, is one that I was a little more invested in. I thought going into it, I've been such a huge fan of Christian in AEW. I think he's brought a very good element to everything. I thought he's made Jungle Boy a little more than just like this new wrestler, this new deal with AEW starting. So it's really cool to see another layer to both of these guys. And also, it's just funny that Christian had a turtleneck on, like he's wrestling in this like this deadly match, and he's in a turtleneck. Like what? Like that's such a villain move. Um, Another pop for me, but also this will merge into the flops. the the casket. It was so funny because spoiler, Christian. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you've read about it if you're a wrestling fan, but Christian gets put in the casket and then it plops down and then the smoke comes up, which was really cool. But it was also really goofy, which a pop for that because it's goofy and it's wrestling and I love it. But also a flop, if you're gonna so kind of merging in the flops here a little bit, but if you're going to go into the wrestling territory if you've never watched and maybe you're one of those skeptical people, I wonder how many people that like made a fan of wrestling. The cool moments. Like I remember the first time I vividly remember wrestling. Like Sting was on screen on WCW, and that made me a fan. And then the next time I tuned in, it was not WCW, it was WWE now. Triple H. That was the night he returned to Madison Square Garden. So those two moments were the two moments I turned in, and I was hooked. I wonder if like someone saw that for the first time and was like, man, I love wrestling. Like, I just think that's really funny. So, pop for that. It was really cool. I think it added something, but also a flop because I could see that maybe making people question, wrestling. So, anyway, getting into the flops and again, trying to be positive with it. Things I just necessarily don't like doesn't mean it's not good. Which, again, these guys are really good pro wrestlers anyway, so who cares? But whatever. Flop for me, Brock Lesnar and Almost, or I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Excuse me, but what? What is that? I don't get it. I personally don't. I don't get it. Um, I think this is one of these things that people have questioned who is running WWE, and I've never really thought about it, and I really don't care. But this to me looks kind of like someone else made this decision. Again, don't know if that's true. Not saying it's true, but Brock and almost like what? Because all the signs kind of pointed towards more of a Bobby and Brock thing again. And I would have preferred to see that, even though I will say I like the idea of Bobby going against Bray. I don't hate that. Bray needs somebody. Bobby uh, is doing pretty well right now too. So I kind of like that. To me, that fits more, but the Brock one just doesn't for me. And it's Brock Lesnar. People are gonna watch it. People are gonna enjoy it, but that one's not doing it for me. I don't like that one. Another flop for me this week, and I saw people giving this match praise for what it was. But again, just things I didn't personally like. That the tag match at Revolution, it's cool. I like the acclaimed. I honestly like all of the teams. I think the way to get into the match, the Casino Battle Royals, kind of convoluted. The fact that there are four teams, meh. It was a calming match. There were cool moments. There were things that were enjoyable. Um, Orange Cassidy, Danhausen, like they're a blast. Honestly, I've been a huge fan of Jeff Jarrett in AEW. I've never been a huge Jeff Jarrett guy, but I enjoy what he's doing in AEW. He's one of the more entertaining people I think right now. The Guns, they're finding their way, and they got something bigger coming. So I'll talk about that in a second. And then again, the Acclaim, they had a rough start I think on the entrance, but in the match, they're over at the moment, and it was what it was. Just for me, the match not my favorite, but you also have to have those types of matches, those comedy matches, in the span of a death match and a burial, and then a 60-minute Iron Man match. So it worked for what it was, but again, you could see who was. You could tell who's going to win. I think in the Iron Man match, just to give an example, MJF was supposed to win, but there was a moment where it was like, is Danielson gonna win? Like, people thought that. I thought that. In the tag match, I didn't really think that. Now, I will say, to that is my last flop, but to talk about flops, going back to pops, I merged the pops with the flops, kind of with the pop, FTR coming back. So FTR coming back was a big deal, and it looks like they're heading to face the Gun. So excited to see that. Glad they're back too in AEW. And I'm excited to see what happens in WWE. Excuse me. Shout out Kurt Angle. So shout out to him. He's a legend. But we are excited to see what happens heading towards WWE. I think, or heading towards WrestleMania. Jeez, I'm messing up all over the place. WrestleMania season is always really cool. I'm excited to see that. See everything that plays out. See who's facing everybody. The official card I'm excited about. Again, talked about Becky last match. The tag team titles, that what's going on there. That's pretty cool. Intercontinental title. That's cool. Who's all going to be involved? What the stage is going to look like? Everything. So we're in a really cool time for wrestling. I'm excited to get there. And looking forward to talking more WWE and just wrestling in general over the next few months. So it should be really exciting. So those are my pops and flops for this episode. Yay! Now, to get into today's topic, if you saw the thumbnail for the YouTube channel, or if you could read the title, today's topic is action figures. And I do not have that extensive of an action figure collection when it comes to wrestling. I just started, to be honest, pretty much since AEW became a thing. But recently, I have been investigating, looking more into things I like and things I want to get, but also some of my favorite pieces that I have when it comes to wrestling. So, if you can see above me, I have like a whole elite cabinet here. The ones I keep in the boxes are Kenny, which here and then here. Sorry, I'm trying to point backwards and I can't use my finger correctly. I have some other wrestlers in the background as well. Can't really see them. You can see Becky and Alexa Bliss, the Ultimate Editions here. Pretty cool stuff. I have some other stuff on the other side of the wall, but my favorite action figures I've gotten this year have been AEW ones. I've collected more AEW ones, I will say. It's a very AEW heavy episode so far. If you can tell, the shirt got the last All Elite crate. I've got the last few, and one of my favorite things I got this year, the Micro Brawler, the Thunder Rosa. Now, I got the Chase variant one, which is pretty cool. I will say I'm not really lucky when it comes to things like that. Like I never get the variants or the awesome exclusive figures. I just don't have that kind of luck. I'm like average on luck. And I'll tell you a story with that as well. So, Tanner, again, shout out Tanner from the Deep Coach Podcast, shameless plug again. So we collected comic books for a period of time. And when DC Comics had their Rebirth launch, there was one special person, who would get this variant cover, which if you look at the cover's worth today, it's like $100 for that issue. And Tanner, who does not collect comic books, he won that. And I do collect comic books more than he does, and probably, but like that's my thing. I don't get luck like that. Tanner gets a little bit more luck like that. So, for me to get this is pretty cool. Again, I don't. It's just literally a sticker on there, and it's a different attire. But the micro brawlers are kind of cool. I don't know if I'd pay for them individually, but one of the favorite things I got was definitely this for the year. So the first thing that, again, next things are all a package deal. I will say the Street Fighter Elite figures. are my next favorite thing that I got. Put Kenny in the middle here. He's got to be in the middle. Anytime, do you guys always line up your action figures as if they were standing correctly? Like I always have to have Kenny in the middle of these two guys. Um, but let's see. Oop, bounce the mic there. So these these three, if you can see my face now, saw these in February on GameStop, and I was like, have to have them, have to have it. Just thought it was cool. I collect pretty much all the Kennys and the Young Bucks. I have collected some. I don't know. I got like three of their action figures. I got some other Young Bucks stuff too, but I saw these and I just thought had to have them. I was in Charleston, West Virginia. I think it was the fourth or fifth Dynamite that they did. And actually, the Young Bucks wore the Street Fighter attire. No, Kenny did not. He wore the Sands, I believe it's called. I don't know. I'm not up on that, but he wore that was when he wore that on that Halloween episode. So pretty cool. I thought, man, this is something I need, something I have to have. Um, and they have a very prominent location on my shelf now. And action figure collecting, some other stuff I've gotten that's not on the screen, um, like the NWO John Cena. I thought that was cool. Try to get the different, more interesting things, other than just like, oh, hey, this is what they look like every single week. So let me know in the comments, what are some of the cool action figure collections you've gotten recently? Be excited to hear about it, share that, because there's a lot I want. There's a lot of action figures I want. Um, One of the other cool ones, it's been a couple years now, the Jurassic Express thing. That box, that was really cool. Um, One thing, a holy grail item. Holy grail item for me when it comes to wrestling action figures, and I don't remember how much it was, but it was well out of my price range. If I had a if I had a little bit more spending money to where I could justify it, I would definitely pull the trigger on this. But the Montreal screw job, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart pack, man, I want that figure set. That is such a cool look. I loved both their attires at the show. I believe Shawn comes with the vest, Bret comes with the flag and the jacket. That classic superstars line. I am, man, that is something like I absolutely want. When it comes to wrestling figures, that is like my thing. Like I need that, like that. Oh my gosh! But again, action figures, they are something I remember having a lot of as a kid. I'm really sad that I took them all out of the box. Like, do you guys do that? Like, I always, um, when you're a kid, like you're gonna want to play with it. But now looking back on it, like some of those action figures, man, like why couldn't I have just kept that one in the box? Like I've even tried to find some of the ones, and again, just can't justify pulling that trigger yet. Yet. But action figure is pretty cool. Looking forward to collecting more. And again, this is Wrestling Pops. I hope you enjoyed this episode where I'm doing this weekly. Some episodes will be more WWE friendly. Some will be more AEW heavy. So looking forward to keeping this rolling. And action figures. Action figures are obviously something I enjoy collecting, not just wrestling, but um, it's really cool to see, to capture the moments. It's really cool to look back on like the boxes and reading whatever may be on the back, or seeing the picture of that live moment and reliving that instance. Like again, the Street Fighter Young Bucks. Again, I was in Charleston. Like they wore this attire, so like when I see this, it just makes me think of that night, which was a lot of fun. My wife and I going to see wrestling in our home state, which doesn't usually happen in West Virginia. So that was a lot of fun. But anyway, this is Wrestling Pops. I hope you enjoyed listening, watching, whatever it may be. Keep it around this time each time, about 20-ish minutes, 20-ish to 30 minutes. But action figures this week. Next week, we'll see. Maybe we'll talk some video games. Maybe we'll talk some WrestleMania. Who knows? Check in next week here on YouTube, on the Deep Cultures YouTube, or on Wrestling Pop's Spotify or Google Podcast. So thanks again for watching or listening. This is Michael, and I hope to see you guys again next week. Be good.